Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the American Tier 9 Premium Tank Destroyer, the AAT-60. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the AAT-60, it is basically a Tier 10 medium tank at Tier 9 as a TD. Why? Because most of the things that go for this vehicle, except the accuracy during movement and rotation, are basically very, very similar to most Tier 10 medium tanks. Which is a bit weird, but there we go. I'd say, for me, especially when I reviewed it at the time, I said it's basically a Tier 10 medium tank. I think it's a bit OP. It's one of the OP Tier 9s, because it just has all the attributes of the medium tanks at Tier 10, but you played at Tier 9, you play against Tier 7s, and it's crazy for that. The only thing that makes this thing a tank destroyer over being a medium tank, like all the others, is the fact that the accuracy during movement and rotation is absolutely abysmal, just like most other tank destroyers, which means that the aim circle becomes huge, as you've seen in this replay so far, and as you'll see in general when you watch this tank. The aim circle becomes massive on this vehicle, so then it takes a wee while to get it aimed in, but then your aim time's ridiculously good, so it doesn't really matter in the end. And because you've got such good DPM, good gun handling, in the end, once you get it fully aimed, you've got amazing mobility, you've got very good camo, great gun depression, and good view range. So on the whole, as a package, the tank is just amazing. I'll say probably too good, realistically. And you've got armour to boot, with a very good hull down capacity in your turret armour, and your hull armour is ridiculous as well, in the fact that it randomly gets penned, but occasionally gets bounces that you sit there going, what? How did I bounce that? And when you're shooting at this thing, it's super frustrating as well, because you shoot the thing and you go, I'll shoot the lower plate. Why did I bounce off the lower plate? What? But then you'll hit the lower plate with the next shot and pen it. And it's just the armor profile on this vehicle is really weird. So this vehicle does have a 67 km/h top speed, with a 24 km/h reverse speed, 18.6 horsepower per ton ratio, means you get there. What was that for a shot? Wow, okay. I digress. 18.6 power to weight ratio means that you hit that top speed really, really easily, and you're an exceptionally mobile tank destroyer, which is why it feels more like a medium tank. Ground resistances do not hold the tank back whatsoever. You've got 34 degrees a second hull rotation speed, which means the tank does turn on a sixpence fairly quickly as well. 258 metres of still concealment with the build that I run, with 273 metres of on-the-move concealment, which is actually really good concealment for a tank destroyer like this, that has everything for it, right? 486 metres of view range means you can spot for yourself really nicely, like you're seeing here, where you can bump up your assistance damage, which again helps it with that medium tanky playstyle. You got 28.24 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which is a little bit slower, and it is slower than the tracks, but you are a turret tank destroyer, and turret-to tank destroyers generally have pretty poor turret traverse. So 28.24 degrees a second for that kind of tank is actually pretty good. A 1.34 accuracy during rotation is terrible, with a 4.1 accuracy during movement. Again, utterly garbage, which means that your aim circle becomes absolutely massive after turning the tank and after movement. But, to negate this, you have a 1.57 second aim time, which means your gun aims in stupidly quickly, meaning you're ready to go pretty much straight away. And as you've seen there with the shot on the Conway, the gun aims in superbly quickly, and you just shoot the gun straight away and you hit the target, because you've got 0.32 accuracy at 100 metres with this build that I run, which is also pretty damn accurate, meaning you just hit your shots most of the time if you let it aim in. You've got 10 degrees of gun depression, which means you are exceptionally flexible on the ridgeline, and because you've got very good turret armor, means you'll bounce quite a lot off your turret. But naturally, you don't want to sit in front of the enemy team going, haha, I've got good turret armor, I'm going to bounce all the shots, because if you put that kind of confidence into the turret, it probably will get penned, because there's some of the really high pen guns can go through it, but with the angles and the 10 degrees of gun depression, you can ricochet quite a lot off of it. You've got a 6.71 second reload, which is 3.7, nearly 3.8k DPM, which is absolutely phenomenal, and is up there with a lot of tier 10 medium tanks. With 251 penetration on the standard APCR, with 1450 meters a second shell velocity, means you don't have to give much lead at all at distance to be able to hit your targets. With 325 penetration on the premium heat rounds, with 1050 penetration on that premium heat round, meaning you don't really struggle to pen anything at all. Meaning the general stats of this vehicle are absolutely incredible, and except for the accuracy during rotation and movement, they are the only thing to tell this thing apart from the fact that it's a TD as opposed to a medium tank. So you saw that first game of fish with the second class, 1013 base XP, that's 6.5k damage, and sadly it just meant that we still couldn't win that game. It was one of those games where it just sort of fell apart left, right and centre, and we couldn't do enough to be able to win it. But yes, what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on the old AAT-60? Well, I run it like a stealthy medium tank so I can get that camo to be really good and to just play it aggressively. And that is I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, with the Advanced Loader, the Camo Net, Optics. Optics to be able to have that 486 metres of view range, to be able to spot for myself really, really nicely. The Camo Net to be able to get the 258 metres of still concealment, with Silent Driving and Camouflage Expertise as well, so that I can get it down to that 258 metres of still concealment, and have my on-the-move concealment down at 273. All 3 gun perks to help this gun as much as possible, because it's the one thing that's probably bad about the tank is the accuracy during movement and rotation, as that is utterly atrocious. So you want to help that as much as you can. And generally having 10% better accuracy is always lovely, especially on a TD, right? Or even a medium tanky-esque TD. And the advanced loader to make the best out of the reload on this tank. So these replays are basically leading up to and achieving the 3rd mark of excellence on the AAT-60, because we did end up 3 marking it, and that means we've had some pretty nice games. That last game, like I say, no matter what we did there, it was going downhill as the team was kind of collapsing everywhere. No matter what we were trying to do, we were trying to just keep firing, and keep the enemy team being punished. We managed to get a lot of their campers, but then when we had to turn around and go and deal with what was coming out of the town, it was just too much. And we got 152mm of pain to the rear from the Object 704. And trust me, 152mm of pain to the rear is not advisable. It's a very uncomfortable experience. So this second game, that went in? Okay, we'll take it. The second game, we're here on this map, which is Ghost Town, and we're up to 2.7k damage so far. And Ghost Town is one of those maps that is very, very good for something like the AAT-60, because we've got plenty of potential to go get hulled down somewhere. The hull armour on this vehicle, like I say, is very good. It's not something you can truly go, yes, I'm going to bounce everything off this hull armour, but it's the type of hull armour that does just get you bounces, that you sit there going, I don't know how I bounced that, but I'll take it. And like I said earlier on, when you shoot at the AAT-60, you do have some shots that you sit there going, how did I bounce on that thing's lower plate? Or how did I bounce on that thing's side? What? It does have that kind of armor, which can be super duper frustrating. But we're up to 3.5k damage so far. We're in a position where we're behind this 4202, and this 4202 doesn't seem to have realised I was here, and he gets shut down by the Chaug. We're going to go after the other Chaug, which was somewhere around this corner. There he is, so we're going to go close the distance and see if we can get some damage into this guy. As we are chasing the 3rd mark, we want to try and get as much as humanly possible. Now, one of the things that is nice for the AAT-60 that I didn't mention is the fact that you do have 420 alpha damage, which is a little bit not more than 400, and that 420 does make a fair bit of difference, as 420 means that you're generally averaging rolls between 400 to 440, and it just makes the gun feel a little bit more impactful than when you do have that 400 alpha. Because when you generally have that 400 alpha, you go in between 380 to 420, right? So it's just that little bit. It's amazing how much that extra little bit of damage does make a difference into how a gun can feel. So we managed to get the ram kill there on that TL7 Black after we unfortunately bounced the first shot, which we shouldn't have auto-aimed. We should have just aimed it and fired, but there we go. We're up 5.8k damage with 228 assistance damage, and we're on 3 kills. There's only 2 tanks left alive on the enemy team. It is the artillery at K to make the artillery. The piggy's gone. No bacon for us, which is always a sad, sad time. And there's the light tank, the Sheridan, who gets shut down by the Death Star. And oh my lord, this tank looks great with that camo, doesn't it? And we're finished with the epic victory. 3 kills, 5.8k damage, 228 assistance. The first class with the 1887 base XP. And we're now up to 90 3.87, was it? Or 97, something like that. So we're very, very close after that last replay. And we're on to the third and final replay. And this one, we are now on this map, which is... it's in front of your face, you moron. Arctic region. And an Arctic region in a tank like the AAT-60. That's three 4,005s on the enemy team. That could be painful. So an Arctic region in a tank like the AAT-60, what we want to be doing is we could either push to the position at C3, because if we push to C3 and go hull down on the little ledge, we could quite easily use the 10 degrees of gun depression this vehicle has, shoot down at the people that go to E4, and just get them with impunity. But you've got to be careful of being shot by the people that push across the 2 line. Or we can push to C2, go hull down in the little divots and the little ditches, and then start going into a hull down brawl with the people that push up the 1 line from their team. So it's something that we've got, and that's the thing about the AAT-60 that is always lovely. We just have flexibility. This tank has everything. It has absolutely everything. You've got that fantastic mobility. You've got the great armor. You've got the great camo. You've got the good gun handling once fully aimed. You've got the amazing DPM. You've got the good penetration. You've got the great gun depression, which means you're just super flexible in every single way. So we've pushed to this position here at C3. Why? So we can get shots on people like this Super Conqueror. He ends up tracking and penning us there. We definitely went up a little bit too soon, because that was the type of thing that we just needed to try and keep snapping shots, but we basically went too soon, had to wait for the aim, wait for the reload to go in, and then it gave him a free shot into our drive wheel, which he tracked, penned us, and damaged our ammo rack. But now we're in this position, we have completely got this 430U. That 430U is fully trapped, and because my armor is so good, he will only be able to see my upper plate / turret front because of the rock directly in front of me. So we're just keeping the shots flowing into this guy. If we get rid of the 430U, we can pressure the people that are at C2. And because there's cover back at A45, that means that we won't get rushed too easily, as they will all have shots at those guys if they decide to push up. Because what can happen if you push the C2 ditch is that the enemy team just gets brave and starts pushing in, and then they just start pushing out very, very aggressively and get you out. Now, we've missed a few shots at the lower plate of that 430U there, but we ended up forcing him out of his little hidey hole because he was so panicked about us. And now we can move into the ditch position. So we're looking for shots now at these guys. The Eradicator's tracked in an awkward spot, and we get a shot through the Eradicator there to shut him down. We're up to 2.7k damage, 313 assistance. The Super Conks is out, but I couldn't quite find a shot I wanted at that guy. The 283 is poking out, so we're going to see if I can get maybe a shot into his cupola, but it doesn't go in. I'm just trying not to overexpose myself at this point and keep myself in a position where these guys do have to poke a little bit to be able to do damage so that the people behind me can shoot at them. So the AMX M451 ends up missing his shot. We put a shot through the side of the Super Conqueror there, who tries to get a shot back at us but misses. There's a Brask shooting the Super Conqueror and towards this AMX M451 in the back, which means that they are starting to get a bit distracted by that and are starting to feel the pinch, essentially. So they're starting to give me a little bit more in terms of the exposure shots. So the shots where they have to pull over a little bit more than they really want to so that they can stay safe from the Brask, but they're giving me shots. And for saying we're on for the 3rd mark of excellence in this game, it's going well so far. We're at 3.5k damage with 700, make that 4k damage with 735 assistance, 4.7k combined so far, which is great. And to get this mark to move when we're at 94%, it was about 4k. So we're in the pushing now. We are pushing up. So we put a shot into the side of the Super Conqueror to shut him down. We're at 4.3k damage, 5k combined now, which is great. The more we can do it, the more we push those two numbers up, the closer we're going to get to be able to get that 3rd mark of excellence and get this tank completely finished off. So the Jagdtiger's spotted at the back. We put a shot into the drive wheel there of the Jagdtiger, keeping him pinned. Now, realistically, that's kind of bad, or going to murky it up a little bit for me, grinding my mark, because now I don't really truly know how much of that was tracking and how much of that was spotting. Because with 3 marking, and any marks in general, tracking and spotting assist are divided. only the highest of tracking or spotting will be added to your total. So if I do 1,000 tracking assist, but 1,001 spotting assist, and I did 2,001 assistance damage, only 1,001 of that damage, of that assistance, out the 2,001, will end up giving me extra towards my mark. Which is a little bit sad, but there we go. So we've ended up murkying the waters a little bit with the tracking on the Ag Tiger, but the reason I did it was basically just to keep him pinned and get rid of him, because I didn't want the Ag Tiger pulling back and then being in just an awkward spot. So we've pushed into a position that is very, very good for pushing the tempo and progressing the flank push that we are doing. Because I can go hull down here quite easily and get shots at people like that AAT-60 on my left and the Type 4 Heavy, and try and push over and shoot people where the artillery were and the 4005s, who are all sat basically in their base, which is not a place for 4005s, but there we go. So we're shooting at another AAT-60. And this is where it's awkward, because my pen is good at 251, 325 heat, great. But like I say with the AAT-60, it is exceptionally awkward to pen, because there's just, you get such random bounces off this tank. This is the kind of tank that I really wish we had an interactive armor viewer, or an effective armor viewer, you know, where it shows you what armor plates are effectively when you're shooting at it and stuff, but there we go. So we get a shot into the 4005, get lucky that we don't die to artillery as the AAT-60 shot us in the side, but again, I'm really just wanting to push the tempo. If I can get some shots into these 4005s, that would be glorious for my total. So I'm being careful now though, because, you know, I do want to be able to survive and try and get more damage. I mean, we're at 8k combined. However much of that is spotting and tracking though, I do not know. I do believe there's quite a bit of spotting in there in general. But the artillery in the FV207 gets shut down. We've got HE loaded to try and put a shot into the 4005. But as you can see, I'm just being as careful as humanly possible. I don't want to die to these guys because they could quite easily just poke over and go kaboom! Death. So we come over, look for the turret shot. That missed. Okay, game, sure. That one misses on the turret of the 4005. We put the HE shell, though, for 540, putting us onto 6.7k damage, near enough. And the Grill 15 shuts down the 4005, and we finished the game with a very, very good total there for an AAT-60. Finished with the victory, and we've come top on the team. 5 kills, 6.7k damage, 2.4k base XP, which is an amazing game for a tank. I mean, that's exceptionally high base XP in terms of that for the AAT-60. And we finished with the 6.7k damage, 2.6k assist, 5 kills, ace tanker, the high caliber, the third mark of excellence, that 2.4k base XP, which is always a fantastic score. And it was nice to get the third mark of excellence on the AAT-60, which, like I say, is a pretty mental tank, honestly. It's a very, very overpowered tank that is incredible. It's just a tier 10. It's just a tier 10 medium tank at tier 9. It's one of those tanks that definitely needs to be tuned down a little bit, just because it doesn't match anything else, really, that's at the tier. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!